Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Strategy Game podcast. I am your host, Lauren Shippey, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you. So let's talk about why we're here and what this podcast is really built to do. And this has been on my mind a lot. I think that there's a gap out there in terms of talking about strategy and what really is strategy. I think there are many layers to strategy, but it's really the core of successful businesses and movements and nonprofits. And it's the thing that lays the foundation for people to be able to scale and to drive revenue and to create impact, most importantly, because we all want to create impact as entrepreneurs. And just a little bit of background on me. I've spent the last 15 plus years in startups and all aspects. And so just been a part of building a number of startups, advising, coaching, consulting, and a few years ago started my own consulting company called Storywork. And now it's really transitioning to a platform to help entrepreneurs be able to scale their businesses, movements, and nonprofits and really create impact and step into what they are built for, what they're meant to do. And our original tagline was define your story and make it matter. And I still fully believe in that. I believe that I love helping people step into their stories and make them matter. And so I think for some people that might look like being at home with their family and with their kids full time right now. And for some that might look like doing both, being an entrepreneur and being at home. And then for some that might look like building their own company and being full time in the corporate world and scaling their company throughout different seasons. And I believe there are underlying threads that connect us all. And so the point of this podcast is really to connect all of those underlying threads together as we examine the dynamics and the habits and the tools that we can all use across platforms, across industries to get strategic and intentional with our time, because our time matters most. So in this first episode, I want to talk about what kind of people we will be when we emerge from this. I know that we are in a season right now with the coronavirus of uncertainty, and we are, I believe, in a season of being uprooted and then rerooted. And on the heels of this, I do believe that there will be new seasons of growth. There will be innovation, and we're already starting to see it that comes out of this. But what type of innovation? What type of growth? How can we position ourselves strategically to be prepared for that season? And so this is really a time of planting, of rerouting ourselves, of examining everything, of filtering everything, and looking at who we want to be when we emerge from this season. And so today I'm going to talk about a few dynamics that I've seen. And as we think about this future and what it'll look like and what products or services will become valuable, I think that observing what we're currently going through and how we'll feel as we emerge from this becomes very valuable as a part of future strategic planning. And three dynamics that have really come to mind. We're just going to dive right in as I reflect on just my own journey in this season. And the first is necessity over luxury. So we're not needing as much as we thought we did. We're realizing that extras that we did have before weren't completely necessary. And we're wondering if we'll go back to some of the extras after this. Everything we purchase and spend time doing is being filtered right now. And there is a high chance that things will be eliminated or replaced. And we might use more caution. We might think more before making purchases, and we might reuse more. It feels good to enjoy our spaces right now, to enjoy what we currently have, and to use the materials and the things that we currently have in our stock. And so as we re-enter the world slowly, we may find that some of the things that we used before, we may not use. So it's an opportunity for new products and services to enter in as replacements. If they are considered more efficient, efficiency might be key. And, I think that people are going to re-enter the market differently than they previously were in the market. So there's going to be a shift there. And at the end here, after I highlight these next two things, I'm going to dive into 3 questions that we can ask ourselves as to how this might impact our businesses, movements, or nonprofits. The second thing is intentional connection. We're having to get extremely intentional right now with how we communicate and connect virtually and in our homes. So we've had time at home to slow down. And in that slower pace, we probably noticed that there are needs and wants that can be more clearly communicated. I know for myself, this has been a time of slowing down with my kids and with my husband and realizing why things are the way they are and why we have certain patterns that are good or bad. And both are being highlighted right now. And I think that we're in a season of being able to become intentional in our connection with each other and able to highlight those things and work through them. And so just really getting curious about why we're reacting to things the way that we are is really going to enable us to be able to drive growth. And I do believe that a lot of people are practicing this. And as a result, will come out of this or emerge from this with deeper, more intentional connections and desiring that as well. I think the second aspect of this intentional connection piece is the virtual connection that's taking place with a lot of workplaces and nonprofits and teams. We're having to communicate really intentionally in order to be able to get things done virtually and maintain morale. So we're seeing a lot of over communication and tips for over communication. We actually did a video series on that and a blog post on that, how to over communicate, how to sit down and anticipate the needs of your team before they say them so that you can address those things on a call really intentionally. And so it's really requiring more reflection on our part. And as we do this more and more, day in and day out, week after week, we are really becoming a lot more intentional about our connection. This is becoming a habit. And so this level of connection is forming new patterns for us. And hopefully, as we continue to re-enter into a new normal, this will be a habit for us. And so how does that look? How does that shift the marketplace? And how does that shift how we consume things? What media we choose to watch, how much of it we choose to watch, how much time we spend on our phones or our devices, and if we're more intentional in that time. So there's a lot of different dynamics that impact businesses and movements. The third thing is aligned with priorities. So we're in a season of remembering what's important to us and rethinking any of those gray areas in terms of priorities. We're in a process of becoming rerouted as we reevaluate just about every area of our lives. And as we emerge from this, there will be a clarity around a sense of alignment with priorities for people. We'll be decisive. We will know how we want to spend our energy, and we will pull the trigger on those priorities. We'll be quicker to purchase those things that are directly in alignment with our priorities because we've had a lot of time to reflect on those things and realize what those things are. And so I believe that we're going to make space for what really matters around us, and we're going to be happy to purchase those things. So how does this translate into the marketplace? This is what we're looking at right now. And here's 3 key questions you can ask, and I'm going to put these in the show notes as well. So grab a piece of paper and a pen if you have it handy and jot down any thoughts as we move through this year, because I want these podcasts to really be a working session for you. If you're offering a luxury rather than a necessity, how can your marketing speak to why it should be a priority? I'm going to read that one more time. If you're offering a luxury rather than a necessity, how can your marketing speak to why it should be a priority for people as they come out of this? We are going to have to work a little bit harder to get a little bit more intentional about our communication to people and really do the thinking for them and with them and alongside of them. And so that looks like stepping into their shoes. And we're going to be doing some podcasts on tools that you can use to be able to do that. But for the time being, you can start brainstorming on that. Number 2, how does your product or service offering fuel intentional connection among families, friends, teams, people in general? Because if people emerge from this and they want and desire and are used to that intentional connection, what is that going to look like in terms of how it impacts what you do? How do you provide that for people? How do you facilitate, foster that? And can you highlight that in your future marketing? Number 3, as people reroute, who are the people that will consider you in alignment with their top priorities and why? and how can you reach them? I believe this is really important because as things settle, and we don't know the exact timeline for this, but we know that it's going to happen. Who are those people that are going to consider you in alignment with their top priorities? Those are your people. Those are the people that you need to speak to. Those are the people that you need to develop marketing language around. And again, this comes back to really walking a day in the life of their shoes and knowing really who they are and what they're feeling and what they're thinking. And if you're not connected to that right now, maybe jotting down a few names, a few people that you can think of that are that person for you, that are that target client, and talking to them right now and asking them, what are your top priorities right now? Why are they your top priorities? How do you see this unfolding? How do you see this moving as you come out of this? And so, really, a mini market survey right now, even as you're in the thick of this, might be super helpful to remain connected with who you serve and why and how they're going to emerge. And if you can keep in step with that, then I believe that you'll be able to move out of this well connected to your customers or to your donors or whoever it is that you serve. And so we're really just in a fluid environment right now. And as everything begins to settle again, it will settle differently. So as we anticipate how we'll settle, our next best strategy will become clear. So hang in with us. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Each episode is going to be pretty short because we know that time is so valuable, and we want you to be able to walk away from these sessions with tangible things that you can apply right now to execute in your business. So give us a comment, give us some feedback, hit me up at lauren@storywork.co if you have any questions, and we will see you in the next episode.